Welcome back to OtakuDaiKun. Dai-chan here, and it's time for 2024's Waifu of the Year Awards. This is a contest hosted entirely by my Discord and its members. You nominated the waifu and voted for the results. Now, it's my turn to showcase what you decided on. The idea is to showcase the top 10, but I also wanted to make sure there was enough new content to show. Thus, any waifu I've already covered will still earn their spot and be showcased, but I'll go until we've got at least 10 waifu that are brand new to this series. After some calculations, this special edition of the Waifu Files will feature 18 characters, including ties for various places. 7 of them have already been covered on previous episodes, but 11 are hot off the press. All of these entries have either debuted in 2024 or had a substantially new version released to a new audience. They've been organized into the top 14, and we'll start from the bottom. 14th place happens to be a tie between two glorious gacha gals. There's Mavuika from Genshin Impact and Cinderella from Nikke Goddess of Victory. Let's check them out. Natlan is one of Teyvat's 7 regions, also known as the Nation of War. In its 500-year battle against the Abyss, Natlan's 6 tribes gather for the pilgrimage of the return of the Sacred Flame. It is a tournament to determine Natlan's 5 greatest warriors, as well as a ritual to ensure the Sacred Flame burns bright enough to ward off the Abyss. Presiding over this event is Mavuika, the nation's guardian deity, or Pyro Archon. Said Archons are human warriors themselves, who prove their worth in combat and are blessed by the Sacred Flame. Mavuika ascended as Archon during the Cataclysm long ago, but chose to resurrect herself in the current era by preserving herself within the Sacred Flame. Doing so meant parting with her family to instead awaken at a time when she could be most useful in saving Natlan. Natives of the region tend to inherit ancient names that get passed down over the ages. Mavuika's ancient name is Kiongozi. In addition to hosting the pilgrimage, she also facilitates the resurrection of her people when they die honorably during the Night Warden Wars. When this Ode of Resurrection stops working, however, Mavuika worries the Abyss has found a new way of invading Natlan. With the kingdom on the edge of collapse, Mavuika's final stand against the Abyss involves guiding 6 heroes whose ancient names have been around since she first ascended. Together, they force the Abyss deep into the Night Kingdom. There, Mavuika goes on her own to eradicate what remains, even if it spells her death. That conviction and self-sacrifice make her all the more badass. In humanity's ongoing effort to defeat the Raptures, they create special Nikke known as the Grimm series. The second generation of these Nikke are expected to rival, if not exceed, their predecessors. Among them, we have Cinderella, a beauty-obsessed maiden who dreams of working with the Goddess Squad. Her admiration traces back to her human life when the goddesses saved her. Given new life by her creator Ave, Cinderella spends each day preparing for her eventual deployment. This effort pays off, as she is the first of her generation to be assigned to a mission with the goddesses. On the anticipated day, however, Cinderella finds herself succumbing to corruption. Her consciousness is sealed away by a mirror, through which she can only watch as her body transforms into the dangerous heretic Anichiro. Instead of being mankind's savior, she instead ruins any hope of defending the planet's surface. After devastating the land and its people, she's eventually cured of her corruption with the use of a substance named Vapaus. Now free, she struggles to vindicate herself and reunite with her old Tails squad. Convinced that she's no longer beautiful, Cinderella is saved by Ave's compassion. They vow to rewrite her tragic story by launching an attack on the Rapture's queen. With her body, which now has the best of Nikke and Rapture technology, she storms the queen's lair and severs its connection to Earth's orbital lift. Cast from the station, Cinderella crashes back onto the surface, where Ave salvages her remains. It'll take Ave years to finally repair Cinderella to her previous strength. Ultimately, though, her story is one of finding beauty in hardship and determination. 13th place goes to another gacha girl, or rather, the protagonist Rover from Wuthering Waves. I still need to play this game, but I'll do my best covering her regardless. On the planet of Solaris 3, or Sol 3, Rover is an arbiter, someone sent from the past, future, or possibly some other world. Rover's exact circumstances are unknown, as she awakens on Sol 3 without any of her memories. Her journey, then, involves recovering those lost memories, while helping the people of Sol 3 stand up against various disasters called the Lament. Among said disasters is the wave-worn phenomena, where surges of chaotic energy give rise to tacit fields and monstrous tacit discords that threaten humanity. People called resonators fight the tacit discords using Pangu terminals which absorb them. Rover, however, has the mysterious ability to absorb TDs all on her own, which is reminiscent of the very first resonator. Her newfound allies, along with the citizens of Sol 3's nation Huanglong, see her as a beacon of hope, the seed of fate. Rover investigates herself as an enigma, experiencing ominous visions and being guided by the tacit mark on her hand. She finds herself caught up in the conflict between the Magistrate of Jinzhou and the Fractidius, an organization hoping to revive the Theodians, enemies born from humanity's dark consciousness. To oppose this, Rover and her friends travel the land to rescue and secure the protection of Huanglong's sentinels. Complicating matters is Abby, a cute creature that emerges from Rover's tacit mark. It appears that Rover has played a major role in this world for millions of years, going by various names. Now, she must contend with the consequences of her previous life. 12th place in this competition goes to Nikke Goddess from Zenless Zone Zero. I've already covered her before, but let's play the footage again. Phaethon's clients tend to belong to human resource dispatch agencies, or factions. One of the earlier factions we're introduced to are the Cunning Hares, led by the super hot Nikke Goddess. On paper, the group is actually called Gentle House, but it seems Nikke prefers the edgier nickname. Fittingly, the name matches Nikke's cunning personality. She's a total miser with an obsession for money, even though the Cunning Hares are always on the verge of going bankrupt. She's become quite good at avoiding and outsmarting debt collectors, and she'll take interest in anything potentially lucrative. Outside of the hollows, she'll try reselling merchandise she acquired for cheap at inflated prices. She'll buy into capsule machines, hoping to pull something rare on the internet. Any contests or giveaways will immediately catch her eye. Even something as mundane as a vending machine can earn her extra dennies. Despite all this, Nikke actually owes debt to Phaethon, but is also a close enough friend to know Phaethon's true identity. On the surface, she's a walking contradiction. How can someone so business-savvy, someone who charges such high fees for her hollow missions, mismanage her funds so poorly? The answer is quite wholesome. Nikke grew up at an orphanage, where she first discovered her love of money. She was amazed by the shine of a denny. Her best friend at the orphanage suffered from ether corruption and yearned to go outside, but could only do so with an expensive suit. Nikke rallied her fellow orphans, hoping to scrounge up the funds so her friend could see the sun one last time. It obviously wasn't enough, but then she cleverly thought to use the reflective coins to bounce sunlight all the way to her friend's isolated room. In Nikke's eyes, money can buy hope. Despite being adopted by an affluent family, she's always on the streets fending for herself. For as frugal as Nikke can be, she has a soft spot for other orphans, often treating them to meals. It's likely that she turns almost everything into a money-making scheme in order to continue aiding those less fortunate, and she appears to thrive in this environment. Her passion for profit makes her impervious to many of the Hollow's more dangerous pressures. The only thing to really shake Nikke is her fear of ghosts. Ethereals have nothing on the paranormal, it seems. To that end, Nikke is a charismatic Hollow agent who treasures her partnership with Phaethon. Their mutual trust makes them a great team. Nikke charges 10 dennies per second as a mere appearance fee, but given how extremely sexy she is, I'd say she deserves far more. I love her bounciness, both in body and mind. She's also an amazing fighter, beating the crap out of enemies with a briefcase that opens up to reveal a powerful cannon. She is absolutely one of my certified favorites, and the main reason I got into Zenless to begin with. Hoyoverse used to be really stingy with its midriff-bearing gals, but Nikke sparked a revolution with future character designs. Hell yeah! We've got another tie for 11th place. There's Sakuya Sumeragi from Code Geass Roze of the Recapture, and Fenris from Chillin' in Another World with Level 2 super cheat powers. I've got my work cut out for me here. Sakuya Sumeragi is the daughter of Jugo Sumeragi, the governor of Hokkaido. Her mother, Sherry, was the eldest daughter of Charles Z. Britannia, the man who nearly subjugated the entire world under his rule. Even though Charles was defeated by his son Lelouch, allowing for the United Federation of Nations to take over, it wasn't long before the Neo-Britannian Empire began to grow in the shadows. Those wishing to reclaim Britannia's hold on Japan invaded Hokkaido and captured Jugo. Sakuya and her best friend / body double Sakura fled their home, only to be separated in their escape. True to her role, Sakura allowed herself to be seized and pretended to be Sakuya. Thus, the Neo-Britannians established her as a puppet governor, while the real Sakuya went into hiding. During this time, Sakuya met her uncle Lelouch, who bestowed upon her the power of Geass. With it, she can command others through eye contact. In order to rescue Sakura, Sakuya disguises herself as a boy named Roze and begins to aid rebel factions in reclaiming Japan from the Neo-Britannians. Pivotal to her plan is Ash Phoenix, a former Knight of the Round who served Neo-Britannia's new leader, Norland. She orders him through Geass to believe that Roze is his brother and to serve as her ally. The two of them travel Hokkaido as nameless mercenaries, adopting stray cats and dogs as a personal hobby. According to his own testimony, Sakuya believes Ash killed her father, so she plans to take revenge after he's outlived his usefulness. Between outings, Sakuya is able to relax under the shelter of Sumari Coffee Shop. The owners there protect her true identity, and in return, she works as a waitress with the fake name Raspberry. As Sakuya and Ash nurture their rebellion to its climax, she discovers he wasn't actually Jugo's killer at all. On the contrary, Ash was asked by Jugo to look after her. Upon rekindling their broken, deceitful partnership, Sakuya and Ash save Sakura, defeat Norland, and liberate Hokkaido. Tragically, however, Ash sacrifices himself for her survival. No longer wishing to abuse her Geass powers, Sakuya commands herself never to speak. She now lives peacefully, grateful for those who are still alive. Roze isn't the best show, but I do love Sakuya's character design enough to declare her a certified favorite. She definitely deserves to be in a better anime. Banaza is forcibly summoned from his world to fight for the magical kingdom of Plirode. As a humble merchant, however, he has nothing to offer on the battlefield. After failing to send Banaza back to his own world, the king essentially banishes him to the kingdom's edge, where all hope seems lost. Banaza may not be a hero, but upon reaching level 2, he unexpectedly gains every ability and magic skill available, becoming so strong he's practically cheating. He uses this new might to transform himself into an adventurer named Fleo. One of his first opponents happens to be Fenris, a silver wolf demon who tries to lure him into the forest for an ambush. She hails from a proud clan that detests weakness, and so when Fleo bests her in combat, she must either end her own life or submit to him as the stronger warrior. In effect, Fenris chooses to become Fleo's wife. Together, they travel to the Adventurers Guild, and she registers under the nickname Reese. Marrying Fleo has made Reese a more open and positive demi-human who no longer hates all humans. That said, she's possessive of her husband, aiming death glares at other women. Being a wolf by nature, Reese is used to eating raw meat, but one taste of human cooking is enough to inspire her into taking up the trade for herself. That's not to say she's adept with human culture, though. When she learns from her Hellcat colleague Uliminas that Fleo killed her brother, she's not bothered at all, instead recognizing the war between humans and demons. As a soldier, her brother dying to a superior opponent is an honor. Nah, Reese's biggest concern seems to be living with and educating Fleo's companions, 4 female knights who all vie for his attention. Personally, I think this show's got better waifu in its own roster, but I can still see how people like Fenris for her overwhelming moe charm. Our 10th place is an interesting case. Tenochtitlan from Fate Grand Order debuted in North America on Christmas this year, and in Japan, she got her summer form. There's really not much footage of her, but I'll do my best. To the uninitiated, Tenochtitlan may seem strange because, rather than a person, that name refers to the famed capital of the Aztec Empire between the 14th and 16th centuries. It was an aquatic city built atop Lake Texcoco and was home to at least 300,000 residents. Remarkably, none of them were peasants, but rather a mix of priests, nobles, merchants, slaves, and of course the king. While this empire would inevitably meet its end, its destroyer, conquistador Hernán Cortés, praised Tenochtitlan as the most unique city in the world. In its place, we now have Mexico City. The servant Tenochtitlan is the Aztec city personified as a beautiful young woman. She also refers to herself as Tlaloc, the Aztec god of rain, and sometimes Huitzilopochtli, the god of war who embodies the sun. These two legends intersect, as Tlaloc also embodied the sun before destroying the Third World in a rain of fire. She also considers Tezcatlipoca, Quetzalcoatl's nemesis, to be her brother, sharing an association with both the sun and war. The two of them have conflicting views regarding death and combat, but Tenochtitlan nevertheless respects her brother. As a servant, she possesses an iron will and yearning for justice, prioritizing the prosperity of her people. She's a level-headed introvert who only occasionally loses her composure. This side of herself rears its head more often when she's a Moon Cancer servant. In combat, she can manifest the city as a giant mech that turns all its blood sacrifices into a beam of magical energy. Given I'll be covering Lost Belt 7 as this video comes out, I see no need to include spoilers. You'll get plenty of that in my lore video. I just know she's pretty and want to summon her to my Caldea. Ninth place this year is yet another tie, this time between Yui Shoset's appearance in Fate Grand Order JP and Zhu Yuan from Zenless Zone Zero. In real life, sometimes treated by fate as proper human history, Yui Shosetsu was a man, a military scholar who attempted to overthrow the Tokugawa shogunate, only to be forced into a tragic end. This waifu version comes from the world of Samurai Remnant, where warriors in Japan's Edo period compete in the Waxing Moon Ritual, a makeshift Holy Grail war put together by Tsuchimikado Yasuhiro. Here, Yui Shosetsu is a female homunculus created by Mori Soiken, a mage who studied Chinese and Western magecraft. He, alongside Amakusa Shiro Tokisada, died fighting as leaders of the Shimabara Rebellion. As a result of Mori's incomplete use of Ainsburn techniques, Yui is a pseudo-homunculus, one who needed to be born by a surrogate mother. Mori intended for her to become a new, ideal being that would eventually replace humanity. Certainly, she's intelligent and has great magic circuits, but like many other homunculi, she also suffers from a short lifespan. With the help of a Grail or Mana Leyline, however, she can create clones of herself. Regardless, after Mori's death, Yui was adopted into a samurai family and went on to earn fame as a scholar, fighter, and a combat instructor. Disguised as a man, she taught many Ronin at her academy in Kanda. In general, Yui is very earnest, polite, and disciplined. Based on her creator's values, she seeks the waxing moon to fix the world's cruelty. By creating an equal society, she hopes to end poverty and homelessness. To that end, she participates in the ritual as the master of Ushi-Gozen, the Oni form of Minamoto no Raiko. Her fate changes based on how you play Samurai Remnant, but in the case of Fate Grand Order, Yui is summoned to a singularity based on the Waxing Moon ritual. She believes she's a master, only to realize she's actually a caster-class servant. I like her a lot better this way, especially in her first ascension. It reminds me of a plug suit. Separate from the military is New Eridu Public Security. One of the department's most promising rookie officers is Zhu Yuan, an earnest, socially awkward woman who comes in clutch when the going gets rough. In front of a camera, putting on an act, she's an embarrassment. But if someone's actually in danger, those nerves of hers turn into righteous fury. Mainly, she specializes in hollow search and rescue operations, blasting her way through ethereals as a badass gunslinger. Zhu Yuan's weapon is the Suppressor K-22, a handheld launcher that can fire buckshots and homing projectiles. Her accomplishments in the Janus precinct earn her the rank of captain, and she's put in charge of her own squad in the Criminal Investigation Special Response Team. When she's not kicking ass, she enjoys gardening. It's too bad the tomato plant in her office keeps getting pillaged by a raccoon. Nature's bandit, am I right? Off hours, Ju-Yuen lives quietly by herself, but makes an effort to visit her doting parents whenever possible. She sometimes has trouble dealing with cats and other small, fluffy animals, but for the safety of new Eridu citizens, she'll put up with anything, strutting her stuff as the most bodacious cop I've ever seen. One day, she's expected to become Public Security's next commissioner. Given Phaethon's illegal operations as a proxy, Belle and Wise are careful when interacting with Ju-Yuen. Despite the risk, having a friend in the police is beneficial, so they approach her in person and in the hollows separately. When their goals align, it's normal for them to team up. Just because Phaethon's not technically legal, that doesn't mean they're evil by any means. 8th place is also from Zenless Zone Zero. Jane Doe, our favorite rat Thyron, gets another chance to shine. There's more to the Criminal Investigation Special Response Team than simply beating up thugs and putting on a good face to the public. Sometimes, true justice is attained through getting dirty, and nobody's better at that than the rat Thyron Jane Doe. You won't find her on record at NEPS, because her role is to spy on criminal organizations from the inside. This often has her spending more time with fiends and thugs than actual peace officers, such that her own colleagues find her intimidating. It also means she occasionally needs to deceive her own teammates, inflicting harm on them for a greater good. It's all part of the job, though, and she's an admirable Dark Knight. Just like herself, she conceals her daggers and stows blades into her boots. Her fighting techniques are themed around figure skating, incorporating various jumps. She prioritizes agility, needing to change and adapt at a moment's notice. Her career as a criminal behavior specialist has made her an expert in disguise, altering her appearance and attitude so often that her colleagues inquire about her genuine personality. For her own safety, though, that secret remains hidden. Obviously, the name Jane Doe is also fake, being the common substitute for redacted women. Fitting for a rat, Jane enjoys the night shift and hoards junk food in her house. At first, she visits random play undercover, but returns in her free time through a friendship with Belle and Wise. Their obsession with movies rubs off on her, and she enjoys criticizing the quality of a film's acting. Rats often get a bad rep, but she's one of the good ones, a femme fatale who's as scary as she is beautiful. 7th place in this list goes to Ciel, specifically her servant form in FGO that debuted this year as Star Ciel, also known as Mysterious Executor Ciel. Ciel in FGO is a cameo, originally from Tsukihime. There, she was a French girl named Elysia. Her life came crashing down around her when she awoke as the next reincarnation of Michael Roa Valdemion, an aggressive vampire known as a dead apostle. He chose Elysia for her superior magic potential, and upon awakening, used her body to massacre her hometown. Fortunately, she was put out of her misery by the dead apostle killer Arcuade Brunstud. Even though Arcuade killed Roa, Elysia herself somehow survived. Hosting Roa unintentionally cursed her with immortality through regeneration. No matter how badly she's wounded, she heals by reversing time for herself. The Holy Church tested this immortality by continually murdering her, and for as cruel as this was, Elysia chose to join them when all was said and done. Taking on the name Ciel, she became an executor of the burial agency who hunts other dead apostles. Her goal was to find Roa's next incarnation and kill him permanently. Doing so will free her of her immortality so that she can finally die. Her fate changes based on your route in Tsukihime, but her appearance in FGO is especially strange. Apparently, in FGO's proper human history, Ciel fights against Arcuade and is burned down to the atomic level. Unable to die, she instead winds up in the Servantverse, a parody world filled with heroic spirits. There, Ciel continues to hunt vampires as an idol from the Sapphire Galaxy. Think about it too hard and your brain will melt out your ears. It's all just a silly excuse to get Ciel in FGO as a summer servant, one who uses the full might of her 7th Holy Scripture to kick ass for Chaldea. A lot of fans seem to be mocking her for having Arcuade face in her 3rd ascension, but I'm too busy looking at this bonus design. It's some of Takeuchi's best work, and I give her a certified favorite for it. The fact that this wasn't her default outfit is a travesty. Going back to Zenless Zone Zero, it seems that 6th place has been claimed by Bernice White and her meanie dance number. Roll the tape. On the goofier side of things is Bernice White, a pyromaniac bartender who loves to party. She's a mixologist who concocts different types of fuel for both machines and humans. Her drinks, featuring the brand Nitro Fuel, have a real kick to them. She even blends the formula used in her dual-wielding flamethrowers, Mixer and Shaker. Appropriately, Bernice's enthusiasm, energy, and optimism never dry out. It's like the universe rewards this attitude, helping her out of every bind she encounters. Thus, for as strong as she comes on, her friends can't help but admire her way of life. Her fuel blends are critical for the bikes and trucks used by the Sons of Caledon. In the Outer Ring district of Blazewood, she doubles as a bartender, serving innovative flavors of nitro fuel. She's so addicted to the stuff that she hardly remembers the taste of water, let alone other drink brands. The very thought of vehicles abandoning petrol for ether energy blows her stag. She thrives off the excitement of combustion and is the primary advocate for keeping the gang's vehicles running smooth and looking hardcore. That said, when she's all geared up for battle, nobody wants her nearby in case her flames cause an explosion. Being used to this treatment, Bernice is actually very knowledgeable on fire safety and can identify a building with proper safety precautions installed. Luckily then, it's her positive charm that seems to spread more than her flames. Give her a chance, and she'll turn the entire Outer Ring into one big nightclub. In fact, when she wins the lottery, that's exactly how she spends the prize money. Friend or foe, all are welcome to eat, drink, and party hard when Bernice is in charge. Stealing 5th place, we've got a classic waifu returning in the form of a remake. It's Holo from the new Spice and Wolf anime. Our beloved Holo is a wolf spirit who dwells within wheat. Born in the land of Yoitsu, she traveled south to the town of Pazlo and settled down there after making a promise with its people. In exchange for worship, Holo blessed the villagers with bountiful wheat harvests. She served as their goddess of wheat for centuries, until eventually, the villagers grew independent. Neglected and alone, Holo felt she had kept her promise long enough. When a traveling merchant named Lawrence passes through, she decides to journey with him, leaping from the village wheat to the wheat on his wagon. Yearning to return to her homeland, she partners with Lawrence as he heads north. Holo has 2 forms, that of a massive wolf and that of a beautiful young woman with adorable wolf ears and a fluffy tail. On the road, she hides these parts of herself, playing the role of Lawrence's wife to avoid standing out. Her superior sense of hearing and smell prove useful to Lawrence, and in exchange, he teaches her how to successfully trade and barter goods. What starts as a fun way to travel becomes her main source of happiness and companionship. In the end, the two make their fake marriage a reality, and they even have a daughter together. They settle down, giving up trade to open and operate a bathhouse. While I vastly prefer the original anime and wish it got a proper conclusion instead of a remake, I'm glad Holo is being exposed to a whole new generation of fans. Coming in at 4th place is the gearhead Grace Howard from Zenless Zone Zero. She's already been covered, but I could stare at her all day. Roll the clip. Critical to Bellabog's technological achievements is Grace Howard, a gorgeous tomboy mechanic. She's an exceptional graduate from New Eridu's Engineering Institute, as well as Horse's adopted daughter. Some might say Grace is too obsessed with machines, seeing them as precious children on the same level as humans. It's no surprise then that she adores Phaethon's Bangbu Eos. Whenever she finds a new mech design, she wants to take it apart and see how it operates. Needless to say, this makes Eos wildly uncomfortable. Grace's goal as an engineer for Bellabog is to create machines that are cute, adorable, kind, and strong, thinking for themselves via a component called the Logic Core. She acknowledges how difficult this can be, as well as the consequences for failing. It is a road fraught with trial and error, filled with many sleepless nights. Even worse, she's too frequently willing to put herself in harm's way for the sake of her projects. It becomes her burden to chase after rogue machinery and bring them back. While her closest friends worry for her safety, she nevertheless pushes for industry-defining results. Calling her a gearhead is an understatement, and it often seems like she cares more about machines than actual people. In her own way, however, Grace does love people, devoting herself to machines that will ultimately keep others safe. You see, her parents were holo researchers, and were presumed dead from an expedition. As a result, Grace wants to rely on her machines to prevent such tragedies. I'm sure you all saw this coming from a mile away, but Grace is also a certified favorite. Let's just say she can turn on more than machines. She's 80% mad scientist, 10% tenderness, 10% business secrets, and 1,000% sexy. Would you believe it? Third place is another tie. The title is shared by Ellen Jo from Zenless, as well as Alia from Roshidere. Another maid at Victoria Housekeeping is Ellen Jo, a shark girl Firen who works part-time while attending school. Ellen strives to establish work-life balance, but is often left tired and demotivated. It's possible to mistake her exhaustion for frustration or even anger, but she's actually very laid back. Even in her fatigued state, Ellen's extremely talented, such that her classmates want her to join their respective clubs. Despite her popularity, she'd rather keep a low profile and gossip with her friends Lynn, Mona, and Ruby. As a maid, she isn't especially energetic, but that's less important when her work entails protecting VIPs and slaying ethereals. Ellen's sure to get the job done, but hates putting in overtime, especially when it gets in the way of her precious leisure hours. Keeping Ellen from her friends is a surefire way to incur her wrath. As a shark, her fangs are sharp, but she prefers to fight kill-a-kill style with a pair of scissors, or more accurately, hedge trimmers. The stress of her job has her considering a new career, but at the same time, she enjoys being a part of the team while saving others. Ellen has a voracious appetite, and can always be found with some sort of snack, most often a lollipop. Her combat style requires a lot of energy, which she replenishes with sweets. That said, she'll eat just about anything, even a certain someone's awful cooking. Alia sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, naturally tells the story of Alia, or Alyssa Mikolovna Kujo. As the child of wealthy parents from 2 nationalities, Alia spent her childhood in both Japan and Vladivostok, Russia. She's a hardworking honor student who used to struggle working with her unmotivated classmates. This taught her to distance herself from others, and to achieve success by taking on all the work herself. Now she attends Japan's Seirei Educational Institute. Her condescending sense of superiority is only enhanced by how she scored first place on her proficiency exam, despite having been out of the country for 5 years. Even though this feat makes her extremely popular, she continues to avoid her classmates, earning the nickname the Solitary Princess. Alia yearns to become the next student council president, since she's already serving as treasurer. To have any hope in the election, however, she needs to finally start communicating with her peers. Ironically, her savior in this endeavor happens to be the unmotivated Masachika Kuze. He doesn't work especially hard, yet has the laid-back amicability she lacks. Thus, she's grateful when he agrees to be her running mate. Their personalities seem to clash, but they're united in their knowledge of Russian. When flustered, or to keep things to herself, Alia will speak her feelings in Russian, assuming that nobody else can understand her. Masachika hides the fact that he actually does know what she's saying, and finds this quirk of hers adorable. As the two run for office, they foster a romantic bond. Honestly, I'm more excited about Masachika's sister, but Alia and her affections are certainly endearing. This show is lucky enough to be blessed with some stellar animation. Our second place winner earns her spot by featuring in a remake. This year, we were graced with Persona 3 Reload, which in turn exposed the world to Mitsuru Kirijo. While she's not my top Persona 3 waifu, she certainly seems to be yours, so let's give her another moment in the spotlight. Mitsuru Kirijo is the heir to the Kirijo group. Given the company's multinational fame, this comes with the heavy burden of maintaining a stoic, successful image. Following this, Mitsuru is a brilliant student at Gekkokan, serving as its student council president. As if that weren't impressive enough, she also functions as a member of SEAS, working to clean up the family's mistakes researching shadows. Of course, while she thinks she's helping eliminate the Dark Hour, she's unknowingly aiding the defeated fragments of death to unite into one. Even so, it's awesome seeing her battle the shadows with skills she cultivates through the school's fencing club. Unlike the other members of SEAS, she's been fighting shadows since childhood, long aware of her persona. This makes her come off as domineering, in a good way, but she also never lets that spoil her compassionate side. In fact, she lets off steam by riding her motorcycle. It's a subtle form of youthful rebellion on her part. That said, when it comes to being her lover, she'll only consider someone as academically proficient as her. When faced with the full gravity of her grandfather's mistakes, as well as her own father's murder, Mitsuru breaks down and relies on Yukari to stand her back up again. Taking over as head of Kirijo, Mitsuru decides to finally set the company straight and channels its resources into preventing the fall. Upon succeeding, Mitsuru evolves SEAS into a special group of shadow operatives. To this day, she balances being both a fighter and one of the social elite. Some may consider this as sacrilege, but I only give her 3 stars. Mind you, I consider 3 stars and up to be very positive. If you're into Dami mommies, then I'm sure your rating will be higher. It's time for 2024's Waifu of the Year. I'm both surprised and not at the same time. A full 20 years after its Japanese release, Fate Stay Night has finally come to the West with an official translation. This allowed for any of its waifu to be nominated, but the one y'all went for this year was none other than Ryder, aka Medusa. Knowing my fanbase, this is to be expected, but at the same time, I thought you'd all go for someone like Rin or Artoria. Well, you know what they say, to the winner goes the spoils. The Ryder-class servant summoned to Fuyuki's 5th Grail War happens to be Medusa, the snake-haired monster from Greek mythology. Before she became the monstrous Gorgon, however, she was first an earth goddess, alongside her older sisters Stheno and Uriel. The 3 of them were supposed to embody the yearning of the hearts of men, a trio of perfect idols. This meant that they would remain eternally young, and yet Medusa was defective in that regard, getting older over time. Regardless, the goddess Athena looked upon the 3 of them with envy. Jealous of their beauty, she decided to curse Medusa exclusively. Rather than a beautiful idol, Medusa would instead grow into a violent beast with snakes for hair. Suddenly, the same people who once worshipped her had her exiled to the Shapeless Isle. Out of compassion, her otherwise sadistic sisters chose to accompany Medusa in her banishment, leading people to think that they had been captured. Thus, soldiers would venture to the island hoping to slay Medusa, while she, in turn, fought these invaders to protect her sisters. Sadly, she could not resist her curse forever, and eventually, she completed her transformation into the Gorgon and devoured her beloved siblings. Only after being slain by the hero Perseus could Medusa's nightmare truly end. As a heroic spirit, Medusa is summoned by the mage Sakura Mato. She immediately feels the need to protect her master from being abused and exploited by the Mato family. By her master's request, however, Medusa tolerates serving under Sakura's brother Shinji instead, subsisting off of artificial command spells. In combat, she makes use of her most iconic trait, the Mystic Eyes of Petrification, which turn her enemies into stone. That said, her noble phantasm is why she qualifies as a rider. Using the golden bridle Bellerophon, Medusa takes reign over Pegasus, the flying mount that sprung from her own headless neck in legend. Throughout the Grail War, Medusa is caught between her desire to obey Sakura and her desire to do what she believes is best for Sakura. She initially fights for Shinji so that Sakura won't have to bear the burden of fighting her crush, Shiro. Later, however, Medusa's willing to do whatever it takes to liberate Sakura from the Grail's corruption. Ultimately, Medusa is a tragic figure who, despite her hardships in life, continues to do the right thing and protect those dear to her. While it's fucked up what Athena did to Medusa, I can certainly understand why she'd be jealous. So those are the top 18 waifu of the year chosen by you all on Discord. Going into 2025, I hope to have an even bigger audience with more nominations and voter activity. Luckily, you can get started right now by joining my Discord server through a link in the description. Not only is it the best way to get notified about all my videos, but it also lets you participate in fun activities like this, as well as my weekly hentai contests. This has been a phenomenal year for waifu, and I anticipate 2025 will be just as good, if not better. Expect a ton more waifu, new and old, to be explored on this channel. Look forward to it.
Thanks for watching. This channel relies on support from viewers like you.
Please help us out by dropping a like and comment. Subscribe for more videos, and be sure to enable notifications. Or hit up our Discord so you never miss out on a new upload.
Most importantly, if you can spare it, please sign up as a channel member, either through YouTube, Patreon, or Subscribestar. You can find links in the description. We've got perks like exclusive content or early access.
Until next time,
Celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters. VideoGamer75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Otaku Mom, Mystic Samurai 1983, Freebrick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Lunar Works, Olympian Doll, Link Pendrago, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Caitlin P, Sogai CH, Sith Lord 906, Vladimir Ovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X 77, and Alistair Bernadotte. Thank you all so much, especially considering the recent hacking. You guys are the best.